Hi viewers, and welcome to another episode of Journeying Through the Bible. Today, I want to take a look at some key lessons that we can learn from the life of Job. I'm going to pull out a few nuggets in a short space of time. But before I get to our 15 key lessons, let me give you an overview of the story which is found in the Old Testament in the book of Job. The Bible describes Job as an upright and righteous man who was also extremely wealthy, and by today's standards, he was a multi-millionaire. He had a large family of 7 sons and 3 daughters. One day, Satan appeared before God, who asked him if he had considered his servant Job, who was an upright man of impeccable character. Satan retorts that this is purely only because God is protecting him, but if the protection is removed, that Job would curse God to his face. God grants Satan permission to test Job, but forbids him to touch his health. Satan attacks, and Job loses his livestock, his children, his servants, and his wealth, all in one day. Despite all this tragedy, Job keeps his integrity and refuses to blame God for any of his calamities. Satan again comes before God, who continues to boast on Job, and this time he is granted permission to afflict his health, but not to take his life. Immediately, Job is afflicted with sore boils from the soles of his foot to the crown of his head. Job's wife is so distressed by this time and tells Job that he might as well curse God and die. But Job rejects her foolish suggestions, tells her off, and refuses to blame God for any of the problems that he has encountered. Job's 3 friends hear about all the calamity that has befallen Job and come to mourn with him. For 7 days and 7 nights they sat with him, but he does not utter a word. Eventually, Job begins to speak of his anguish and his regret of the day that he was born. One of his friends then accuses him of committing sin and suggests that the calamities that have befallen him are the consequences of his sin. But Job protests his innocence. Job debates backwards and forwards with his friends, stating his position, but they continue to accuse him of doing wrong. And as far as they are concerned, he is a hypocrite and a liar. God then tells of Job for complaining, and his friends continue to accuse him of doing wrong somewhere and sinning against God. Job continues to defend his innocence, but eventually his 3 friends refuse to answer him any longer. Another younger person who has been listening becomes angry with him because he keeps on denying any wrongdoing. He will not admit that God is punishing him rightly, and is angry towards the 3 friends who were unable to answer Job's questions satisfactorily. God then turns his attention to Job's friends and tells them off for misrepresenting him and for the carnal counsel they offered to Job. He commands them to bring sacrifices to Job and that he should pray for them as a preventative measure against them receiving the weight of God's judgment. Job prays for his friends. God restores his family, restores his fortunes, and he has twice as much as he had in the first place before all of the calamities. And he lives to a ripe old age. So let's have a look at the key points that we can learn from Job's life. Number 1, don't wrongly blame God when things go wrong. 2, living a righteous life makes you a prime target for Satan. 3, Satan will continue kicking you when you are down. That's his nature. 4, the thing you most fear may happen to you. 5, be mindful who you listen to during your darkest hour. 6, calamities are not an indication that you have done anything wrong. 7, people may misjudge you based on their carnal assessment of your situation. 8, false accusations may come through the lips of friends. 9, don't despise the chastening of God. It brings humility. 10. So-called friends could be your worst enemy. Avoid carnal counsel. 11. Continue to praise God whatever the circumstances. It is a weapon of warfare. 12. Don't waste energy trying to justify yourself. God will exonerate you in due season. 13. You may need to evaluate your friendships when you see others' true colours. 14. God may expect you to pray for those who have wrongly judged you, so that they may avoid God's rightful judgment against them. And 15. God can absolutely restore whatever Satan has taken from you and multiply it. Well, that's it for today, but please join us again for another episode of Journeying Through the Bible. But until next time, take care, stay strong, and keep the faith.